Thanks to a law that Donald Trump signed earlier this year, Planned Parenthood's funding is now in serious jeopardy across the country. But some states are not taking it lying down. And Maryland just passed a law that would actually refund Planned Parenthood if Congress defunded it. The new protection measure would preserve access to preventive care services for 25,000 people in the state. $2 million from Maryland's Medicaid budget and $700,000 from its general fund will be directed toward the services that Planned Parenthood provides, which, again, I just want to repeat this in case any Republican lawmakers are watching this. For many people, men and women, that's the only clinic you can go to. It's not just an abortion factory. It is the source of health care for a lot of people, and they are eagerly going to try to take it away. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is not just that it's great that Planned Parenthood, which is, by the way, apparently the most popular political organization in the country, I just saw a recent poll, is being protected. That's great. But the damage that Donald Trump and Republicans can do across the country is not something that we simply have to accept. You can get involved in your local and state governments, and you can pass measures like this to try to stop that damage, to ward off as much of it as possible until we get sane national governance again. And it goes beyond just Planned Parenthood. So lawmakers in Nevada are trying to pass bills that enable women to access 12-month birth control supplies. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced in January that he would expand reproductive rights protections for New Yorkers, requiring health insurers to cover medically necessary abortions and most forms of birth control. But even wider than that, in California, some bills are being considered. I think one was already passed, that if some climate change laws were passed nationally, we would be able to retain our more stringent requirements in terms of fuel efficiency standards and things like that. And I know, Anna, in the second hour, you're gonna be talking about the expansion of tuition-free college.
Right.
And so all this action is happening on the state level, and I think that that is a great sign considering how big of a threat we face from Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. I think that it's important to keep in mind that your local politicians are more likely to represent you and your best interests if you are involved and politically active in your state or your municipality, right? So these are things that you should pay very close attention to. I think that one of the biggest failures of the electorate and the media is that we focus way too much on politics on a federal level. And look, we cover a lot of national news here, but again, pay close attention to what's happening on a local level because it's incredibly important for you to know who the incumbent politician is. Oftentimes the incumbent just gets reelected over and over again. Sometimes they don't even get challenged. So just educate yourself on those issues because these are the people who will look out for you and your best interests. I know in California, there have been a number of actions taken to kind of mitigate the negative impact of Trump's administration. We want to continue fighting for the environment. We want to continue fighting for undocumented immigrants. We want to continue doing what makes California such a great state. And I hope that you guys are aware of what's happening in your states and you're politically active.
Yeah, this reminds me a little bit. First of all, I think it's great that Maryland's doing this. This reminds me a little bit of how when Trump cut the I think the EPA by like $2 billion or something,
Right.
and then donated $75,000 of his own money and made a big deal out of it. I was like, really, jackass? Really? You're gonna do the $2 billion cut and here's $75,000?
Let's call it even.
Let's call it even.
Yeah, exactly. And so look, you should definitely pay attention to the elections. And state level elections are happening all the time because we have a weird system in America where we never stop having elections. And look into who your state representatives are. State legislatures are incredibly important. Who's running to be a governor, for instance. But you don't have to just vote for politicians. You can also run at the state or local level. You could get involved directly in politics. And there are organizations, some longstanding, some that have been set up recently, like Bernie Sanders' efforts to try to draft people to run. There's Justice Democrats as well. You can get involved, not just through like proxy politicians voting for them, but actually running and championing laws that are gonna be forgotten or that there's not gonna be progress on for the next 4 years. There's no reason that, just like with Maryland, we don't have to lay down and take it from DC. We can stop the damage from being done. And I'm glad that there are state level politicians who are not just going to be doing this, but are already doing it. And we're gonna spotlight as many laws as we can that are passed that are positive, but we're inevitably gonna miss some. But understand that fight is being waged at the state level, and it's important that is happening.
Young Turks membership creates independent media.
Believe me.
No ads.
Believe me.
All the shows.
Believe me.
On demand.
Believe me.
Support independent media.
Believe me.
It's awesome, tremendous. You'll love it.
Believe me.
And by the end, you'll be thinking,
I'm like a smart person.
tytnetwork.com/join.